everybody, and welcome to the One Podcast. I'm James Fonsbeck, your host. With me always is Sarah, and today our special guest is Justin Yu. Am I getting that right, Justin?
Yep.
Okay, good. Justin is a Nissan enthusiast, is what I'm going to call him. Actually, he is a part owner of Fat Bob's Garage in Layton, Utah, where they do all sorts of installations and builds and what else do you guys do there?
Okay, so we have installation, builds. We do a lot of website sales. So we ship stuff, worldwide.
Got a couple of your own product lines as well.
So we have the Vaded line, and then we've created the Nexus line. So
very nice, very nice. Yeah. So today we're going to talk about Nissan, right? Yeah. That's the plan. So I picked Nissan. I picked Justin for this podcast because Justin happens to be a pretty good Nissan enthusiast. I wouldn't say he's like Kurt Williams level Land Cruiser insanity, but he definitely knows more than I do about Nissans, and he's owned a lot of Nissans, but we'll talk about that. We'll talk about some other stuff too, because we need to talk about the future. So, but let's just kind of get at it. So you're partner at Fat Bob's, you do a lot of cool builds and stuff like that. One of the things I think you guys are still doing is you're doing these V8 swaps, right? Into the Nissan Xterras. Is that still going on?
Yep.
Okay. Tell me about that. What's the story on that?
So on the Nissan, these VK56 swaps, you basically take a Nissan Titan, Nissan Armada, you take the engine and transmission, you bolt them right into a Frontier or Xterra, and then just program them and upgrade them and just have fun with them.
Okay, so let's get some Nissan history out here. So once upon a time, my first vehicle that I was given, basically, or at least it was what I got to drive, right?
Thanks, Dad.
Yeah, thanks, Dad. Thanks, Dad. Anyway, he actually watches these and listens to them, so I gotta be nice because the last time I got in trouble. So, but yeah, he got me, it was a 1988 Nissan Pathfinder XE, and it was black, which was terrible. But, I mean, fun little car, right? Automatic, I liked it. Did some upgrades over the time. I wanted it because a friend of mine was a huge Pathfinder. Well, I wouldn't say that. Like, he was kind of in the same boat. His dad got him gave him, basically it was like hand-me-down, 1987 Nissan Pathfinder. And it was just it was beautiful SE. It was maroon, and he just took perfect care of it. I mean, it just looked incredible. I still feel bad that he actually sold it. I would have never sold it if I was him, because he only sold it for like $6,000. You know what I mean?
Wow, yeah.
So, but it was in like perfect condition. Anyway, went off-roading with him several times, and I was blown away with just how good they were. You know what I mean? They had a coil spring rear. They did torsion bars, right, for their front suspension, which I think is kind of antiquated, personally. Car next to me, actually, this thing happens to be torsion bar, but whatever. It's like the holdout. GM's the holdout for torsion bars. But, I mean, it was still very capable, and I was a big fan. So there's a little place in my heart for Nissans. Let's put it that way. In fact, if anybody out there knows of any amazing barn find Nissan Pathfinder SEs, preferably one between 1987 and 1989, please let me know. I'm interested in. I would stick one of those in my showroom if I could find a clean one SE with the, that classic wheel that they had that was like the 3-spoke. It was like all flat dish. Love that wheel. So it has to have the spare tire carrier, by the way. So, but just putting that out there. Okay. So anyway, keep me posted. Anyway, so give us some background on your Nissan pedigree of ownership, or your family's, I guess, in this case, right?
Yep. So it's a family-owned thing. Growing up, my uncles, my grandparents, they all had, the Nissan pickups. Being in the restaurant industry, it helped transport, groceries and whatnot. So from there, it just grew. I got to drive my grandparents' 92 pickup quite often. So being that, my first car was a black Nissan Xterra 2001. So Yeah, the black's definitely not a good color. Too much maintenance. So from there, I guess in high school, being very adventurous, my friends took us out in their Jeeps, and all of a sudden it was like, oh, hey, this is fun. Can I do that stuff with my Nissan? So then we started going out, this little stock Nissan, and rummaging through the hills here in Ogden, and from there it grew. Just in the very beginning of it, in Google, right? So you're sitting there Googling, researching, trying to find what you can do off road, what you can modify, but then the market's very small. So especially back in the 2000s. After that, I figured everything out. Started going down to Moab. Got a little lift kit on it. There's 3 or 4 lift kit companies back then.
Yeah, like Calamini was one of them.
Yeah, one of them. There's like 4x4 parts down in Florida. So bought one of the kits, lifted it, and then made it down to Moab. And then found that here in Utah, there was a Utah Xterra Owners Club.
Yeah.
Yeah, so joined that club, learned a lot from them, and after that just took off, and a few years later, got rid of that one, went after a 2011 Nissan Xterra, and that thing it's been my project, just tear it apart, start over, build it, rinse and repeat.
Is that the one the one that's got 40s right now and everything like that? Okay. So
it went from it's called a Titan swap. You can take actually the full Titan suspension. You can just slap it right under an Xterra. So that makes it a mid-travel kit.
Really?
No modifications, right? And then from there, it's just I did a 6-inch lift, then tore that all apart, and then did the 1-ton axles under it, 40-inch tires, and then from there did the V8. That's where I learned how to do the VK swap.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a couple guys out there that know their stuff more than I do. But those are the guys you reach out to. That just if I don't know it, reach out to those guys, and they'll fill you in on any kind of questions and any issues you'd have.
Yeah. I find it very interesting. Just Nissan as a company is pretty weird to me, right? So, just for some of those history buffs out there, Nissan. So basically, their introduction to the off-road market that I know of was with the Patrol, right? And they're still. I mean, I don't know how many they ever imported. It couldn't have been that many. Every once in a while, you see an old Patrol pop up for sale somewhere. You know what I mean? And they're pretty interesting. But it seems like I don't know what year. It was probably they stopped bringing the Patrol in. Probably in the 70s is my guess, or something like that. Maybe it was in the early 80s. But then you had the you actually, not a lot of people know this existed, but there was a thing called the Nissan Bushmaster, and it was basically just a Pathfinder. It was just a Pathfinder of like a 1985 or 86 or something like that, right? And it didn't look as cool as the Pathfinders did. It just looked like a really very simplified version of a Pathfinder. I know I saw one because when I wanted a Pathfinder, that was what I was interested in. I was telling my dad about it. I went on the look for Pathfinders, and I found this thing called a Nissan Bushmaster, and I remember looking at it going, it just looks like a Pathfinder. But yeah, apparently didn't bring a whole lot of men in 85 or 86. So if you see a Nissan Bushmaster, it's very rare. Anyway, it's kind of interesting because we've got in the States, like I love the Pathfinder, right? And then they did the 4-door models, right? That's basically the big change, right? Yep. Basically the same animal. They just started bringing them in 4-door, and then it was, when did they change the model year? It was like 1996, I want to say.
I think 97 was all.
Was it 97?
All the body changes, including the hard body.
Was it? Yeah. So I think that's about where Nissan started doing a crappy job. I'm just going to say it. I don't care. I don't know anyone at Nissan. I don't, whatever. But I thought that's when they kind of screwed it up, because the Pathfinder I thought was a great platform, right? You couldn't do much with them. I mean, 32-inch tires and a little bit of a lift, right? Their wheel wells were like a GM wheel well. You know what I mean? Yeah. They were all squared off, so it was really hard to put a lot bigger tire in there and stuff like that. But they were very fun and they're very capable vehicles, I thought. And then I would, for me, the Pathfinder went downhill from there. But then, I mean, you did have the Xterra that came out. And I think that, I want to say it was 99 that they came out with.
So
the
2000.
Xterra. Was it
Yeah,
2000 model
2000,
year?
yep.
Okay, so it was 2000 model year, but 99 was when you could pick one up probably. And those were pretty cool, right? I really liked what they did. My only beef with them was that their transfer case, in my opinion, their low range, I should say, not their transfer case, their low range was not low enough.
Yeah.
I think it was only like a 2.0. You know what I mean? So it wasn't giving you much low range. But it's pretty impressive to me, the legacy that I think was able to continue on with the Xterra specifically. Because I don't think, I mean, the Patrol still was around, but you can't get a Patrol in the U.S. And I don't even think they came to North America. You know what I mean? So when you see a Patrol and you see it in like Australia and stuff like that, I know they do a lot of them everywhere else, basically. I'm kind of jealous because I'm like, why didn't we get that? Oh, yeah. That's what we all wanted. You know what I mean?
The entire Nissan market, you know, all the consumers of Nissan are thinking the same thing.
Really?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That was, and to me, that was like, I thought that was what made more sense with Nissan. Eventually, I mean, my dad ended up buying. We've owned a few Nissans. You had a Nissan too, didn't you?
Yeah. It was just, I don't even think it had a name.
No, it was just
a Nissan truck.
Yeah,
it was a hard body truck.
Yeah, it was a hard body truck. Yeah.
That was one of my first vehicles. Yeah.
Yeah,
And
that was the first one you owned yourself, wasn't it?
Yeah,
Or was it?
Yeah, that was the first one I purchased, like, on my own.
Yeah.
Good truck.
Yeah.
And then we had the Titan, was one of our very
first
Expedition 1 kind of work trucks.
So it was. Yeah. It was very, very much a work truck. It was a truck my dad bought after we retired, but we just kind of rolled it over since he became my business partner. We rolled it into Expedition 1. Yeah. It's a great truck, man. Really, I think sticker on it was like 35 grand.
Yeah.
It was a great truck. We used to, dude, I mean, I don't know. It's still rolling right now. Yeah. My nephew's driving it right now. And I mean, we probably have well over 250,000 miles on this thing and still rolling. The only thing we ever had to replace was the rear axle. And it's just apparently the ring gear goes out. We were towing like a lot with it. So
that's probably why.
Yeah. We tow bumpers with it up and down, you know, thousands of pounds of bumpers from a manufacturing facility down to here for basically assembly or customization and finishing and shipping and stuff. And we did that for years. We did that for like 4 or 5 years easy.
Yeah, in the early days.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
for sure did.
Pretty crazy. But so that's a little my thoughts on Nissan. I mean, I think it's still, I mean, the new Nissan, is it? Yeah, it's still a Titan. New Nissan Titan, I think they did some cool stuff. I'm not sure. I know that there's a weird thing about Japanese vehicles. Why, like, people ask, why doesn't Toyota do a 3/4 ton or 1 ton, right? And it seems like, if I remember right, there's some weird clause or there's something associated with them where they're just not able to do it. Does that make sense? Like, that's why there's a Nissan, there's a Titan HD, right?
XD.
Is it XD? Is that what they call it? Okay. Yeah. So it's the XD, heavier duty frame. I think it has a way higher tow capacity and stuff like that. It's basically
with turbo.
Yeah. It's like a 3/4 ton truck, equivalent. But yeah, it's very interesting to me that we're kind of stuck in that area where we're just not getting what people want. You know what I mean, per se. Like, I know Toyota's teased a few things where they've teased like dualies and stuff like that. But there's got to be something out there. I've got to find somebody to tell me the story why, but I think it's just probably hard to compete with the U.S. manufacturers. There's got to be something that's preventing them.
The CAFE standard, you know, I mean, there's probably lots of variables. So.
Yeah. I know there's a lot of tariffs that's part of the reason why they started bringing in 4-door Pathfinders and stuff like that, and started doing things associated with 4 doors is because 2-door was like, they put restrictions on 2 doors.
Yeah.
They made it really expensive or something like that. So everything kind of shifted to 4 doors, which I gotta wonder what the history is on that. But I know that had to do something with, tariffs and whatever you call it, just competition between countries and everything. But anyway, what say you about Nissan?
The aftermarket support is a really hard thing. You know, I mean, it's the Xterra, as you know, it ended in 15. so they cut that off.
Right.
Just like the FJ Cruiser, right? So
Now, have you heard if that's going to make a return?
I don't think
I've
so.
heard rumors that it was, but I just don't know.
Well, in other countries, they call them the X Trail. They've still been going on, and they've changed the body model and the engine and everything.
So they still produce it.
Yeah, the X Trail or the Frontier is a Navara. So
Right.
they're still doing it, just not here. So it's very interesting to me to see if they'll do a comeback.
Yeah. I kind of wonder too. I mean, they have the, they are staying with the Frontier, right? They've revised that.
Yeah,
We've
so
got
this
to
year.
see of it,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
That thing's pretty nice looking, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It's, a lot of people were kind of teasing the whole idea because they're like, oh, it's the new Nissan Tacoma, right? But
All right, yeah, all right, yeah. Social media is saying that, and then there's, I think they're coming after Tacomas. They're coming after the Raptors. I think that's their hard shot at it and see if it sticks or not.
do you remember that concept that Nissan did a few years back? I'm trying to remember what it was. You can definitely see some of the aspects of the design in this thing, but I believe it was a Titan, but it was a concept truck. Do you remember that?
Yeah.
I mean, I just can't remember the name of it. I mean, but it was super pretty, just beautiful.
Yeah.
Big old, I think it like had 37 stock or something like that is what it came with. It's really funny to me that they bring these things to market and they're like, yeah, this is kind of what we're thinking. Like I remember Ford did the Ford Atlas, right? And everyone was like, that thing's beautiful. And then they just never quite
Not even close.
bring it all the way. You know what I mean? They only bring it part of the way and you're like, oh, okay, well that's okay. I wonder why they don't do that. I guess there's a degree of gambling, but then you have like guys like Elon Musk and he's going to bring whatever the hell that thing is to market and here it is.
Yeah.
Here's the Cybertruck. He doesn't care how crazy and whacked out that thing looks or is. Bulletproof glass and stuff.
Yeah.
It's just like, here you go.
Mm-hmm.
And we all sit there and go, all right, I guess so. I mean, I kind of wonder if he some of these guys need to take a little bit of a lead.
Well, yeah. Shot in
From
the dark
him.
and see what happens. And see if it sticks.
Yeah.
So
Yeah. It's pretty crazy though. I don't know. What do you think of the new Frontier?
I like it. I mean, the lines on it looks cool. I mean, I think I'll probably wait a few years before I buy one, just see what kind of warms it has.
You probably will get one.
Yeah,
You think?
just to try it out and see what it's all about.
Mm-hmm.
Gotta try it once, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
See if it really is what it is.
Yeah.
I'm excited to see how well it does stack up against the Tacoma, because you can see the similarities. They're definitely moving towards that kind of thing. And from my standpoint, as somebody that does aftermarket, I think the bumpers on something like that, I think it's going to be pretty nice.
Yeah.
I think we'll be able to do something pretty cool on that.
So one of the things is like reason why I'm still a Nissan fanboy is their engine, their power plant, right? Even though
Yeah.
the doodads and the gadgets interior wise they haven't changed much, but the engine, you just drive a 4.0 liter, and it has a lot of torque. It's powerful, and then you hop into a Tacoma, then you're kind of just like,
Mm-hmm.
there's your difference, a lot of gadgets and doodads, and you're impressed by the interior, but then all of a sudden you don't have the capacity, the towing capacity, the power band.
Yeah,
So-
that is one thing I can tell you about Tacomas.
Yeah.
And I do love Toyotas. I own lots of Toyotas, but
Yeah.
that's been the weirdest thing to me is the Tacoma and its power. It just never seems like it's got enough.
Yeah.
It just doesn't.
Yeah.
And it's weird to me that they still keep running them the same way.
Yeah. It's really noticeable.
Yeah.
And then you throw some tires and bumpers on there, and it's
Yeah, that's a totally different thing.
Yeah.
That has got to be the weirdest thing. But they sell every Tacoma they make,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So
It's a huge,
they
huge
value it
following.
really well.
Yeah.
Aftermarket
Yeah.
support, what I mean?
Yeah.
Nothing that, Nissan won't get, or not a lot of companies will get behind the Nissan support,
Mm-hmm.
so it's a very difficult thing.
yeah,
So,
yeah. I think for us, we were for sure will do the new Frontier. I don't know about the older models. We get a few people here and there. I mean, we were a holdout on the Xterras for a long time. We were just like, I don't think we're gonna go that route. I just couldn't see it, right? I just did not think that there was that many people that would be interested. But I mean, there's a fair amount
Solid.
of
Yeah.
people.
Yeah.
yeah.
They're
No,
very
thank you guys
interested.
for doing it, because most beautiful bumper on the market for the Nissans.
Yeah.
So
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. And it has, they've been a solid group of folks, and I've had some really awesome
Yeah.
Xterra customers.
They seem
I would
pretty
say.
understanding
Yeah, like
of the fact that they own kind of an oddball.
well, because we're
You
used
know
to
what
not
I
having
mean?
the support and waiting for everything. So,
Right.
you know, it's like if you say 6 months, 6 months it is. You know,
Yeah.
it's not like you can just go off into the, you know, parts warehouse and just go buy one right off the shelf.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So,
Mhm.
so
Yeah.
Not quite the same as like Jeep or something like
Right.
that. Yeah.
And same deal with the roof racks for the Xterras. Like, it's just been a solid, like,
Yeah.
good mover. for
Yeah.
us,
Oh, and
so.
thanks for letting us borrow a couple cars so we
Yeah.
could get those
Thanks for the prototype.
well,
get
that was
those
awesome.
done.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, sleek, clean looking. It's just, you know, it looks great. So
Yeah. So let's see here. We should probably talk about Flexterra a little bit.
Yeah.
So is Flexterra you, or is that the name of your Xterra?
name of the Xterra.
That's a famous Xterra.
Yeah.
I mean, everyone knows that's an Xterra person for some reason, kind of knows about it.
Yeah.
Why is that? Other than it has a V8.
There's only a handful of vehicles, or the Xterra is built like similar to mine.
Mhm.
So I think that's where the popularity comes in, because
Yeah.
it's very rare.
Mm.
And
And
it's
I like to drive it like I stole it. So quite often, you know, I make it to Moab 10, 20 times a year, you know, and
Wow.
just, that's what I enjoy to do. So that's what I built it for.
Dang, you go a lot.
I do go a lot.
That's a ton, man.
Lucky.
Yeah, no
Jealous.
kidding. That's pretty crazy.
So what all's, like, what all is your full
Yeah.
build on the Flexterra?
Let's
So
get
it
the
ha-
breakdown.
So it has the VK56 swap in it, right? The engine bolts right in. Just got to do a little tune to it. Did the TerraFlex axle on the front, the Terra 44, with the 8-bolt 1-ton conversion on the ends, and then the rear axle is a 14-bolt out of a Chevy.
Oh, okay.
So geared to 513s and air lockers front and rear.
Hmm.
And then with your bumper, right? And it's conquered Pritchett a couple
Wow.
times. And, I mean, it handles its own, so it's a fun vehicle.
It's impressive.
The thing I noticed about it when I drove it briefly around here is, one, it does have a ton of power. I'm pretty sure, like, I got in it and I was like, whoa. So I actually drove it down the street and hit the throttle just to see what it was all about. But it's definitely built for rock crawling. I mean, it was like, there's plenty of sway in there, you know
Yeah.
what I mean? It was one of those, like, geez, how does he drive this thing,
Yeah.
right? Do you have hydro assist steering on that, by the way?
Yep, hydro assist, PSC.
Okay.
Yeah, very much
That's what
that.
I figured.
Yeah, and we're doing few upgrades and renditions now. So like I said, you know, tear it apart and build it again. So we're redoing the brake system. We're going with the Chevy Hydro Boost. So then we got to do you know, some custom mounting and doing a upgraded power steering pump to make that all function correctly. So
Very
What
cool.
was the stock axle in those? The stock rear?
stock rear, it's called a M226. It's basically a JK variant.
It's like a 44, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Okay.
They call it D44A.
Very similar to what they were putting in the Titans. Was
Yep.
something, yeah.
Just
Okay.
different widths.
That's interesting. So, like, even just talking with you, it's interesting to me because it's funny how much Nissan does things that I think more companies should do, right? Rather than reinventing the wheel, you know what I mean? Like, Toyota always does stuff that's similar, but it's different. It's always kind of similar but different. But I mean, you're talking about, oh yeah, no, you can throw the same front suspension basically.
Yep.
Front A arms, right? Effectively from a Titan onto a, yeah.
Yeah, you bolt the diff. The diff's mounting different. On the Titan, they bolt onto the diff, right? The CV axles.
Yeah.
The Xterras, they slide in with the spline shafts, but the mounting spots are the exact same.
Yeah.
So you just bolt the whole differential up in the front too.
See, that to me is that's what I mean. That's pretty crazy. I think Toyota, from what I'm hearing, is going to do more of that when they have a whole chassis laid out. And I've heard, I don't know if this is totally accurate, but I've heard that the Tundra and the Tacoma will share chassis.
Hopefully, it's boxed in because you know that C
Yeah.
channels.
Yeah, not the best for when you're talking with you're talking with the Tacomas
Xterras,
basically.
So Xterras and Frontiers, the frames are boxed in, so you know you don't have the as much flex in the frame.
Yeah.
You know,
Newer
lot tougher.
Xterras, well, okay, now were the Xterras always coilover, or did they carry on the torsion bar type thing for a little while?
so it's coilover.
They always have
Yeah,
been.
coil strut.
Okay, so that was a good upgrade. Did they ever do anything different with the transfer case gears? Did they ever make them a little better?
It's a little bit better, yeah.
So it's not just two.
I can't remember the ratio on it. So on FlexTerra, speaking of that too,
Yeah.
went with the Atlas transfer case to get way better.
Oh, did
So
you
yeah, so
really?
it's 4-to-1 ratio on the Atlas.
Okay,
So,
that's pretty crazy.
Yep.
That's your and FlexTerra. That's your Instagram handle,
Yep.
effectively, right? Okay.
and then we're still trying to come up with the wife's Xterra's Instagram handle, which we can't. So we're thinking maybe like Mrs. FlexTerra or something like that.
I like that.
So,
Yeah, that would work.
Yeah.
That's the white one,
The
right?
white one, yep.
Yeah. I like that one.
Good.
So
And
that
you-
one,
That one's still IFS, right?
Yep.
You maintain the
Yep.
IFS, and it seems to crawl really good still.
yeah.
You know?
But the handling quality with the IFS, like you see in the Ultra 4s, that's kind of the stance we're sticking with on that one.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll leave the front IFS, 6-inch lift, drop bracket, radical coilovers, full Titan suspension, including the rear axle. We just cut the perches off on the Titan axles and just weld the new ones on. Just got to be a little more narrower. But yeah, overall it's a great handling vehicle.
How much on that swap you guys do, the V8 swap? Like, how much do you charge for that kind of thing?
So it all depends on the add-ons you want on it. How
Mhm.
far you want to go. So it could be just in labor itself. 2,000 to 4,000 in labor. Overall build, I've seen anywhere from like 20 to 30, including the engine and transmission.
Mm. Okay.
Just how much you want to spend in it. How much,
So it can be
you know,
pretty
what your goal is.
expensive
Can be,
overall.
yeah.
Yeah. But just depends on what you're doing. I don't know. It's an interesting platform. You know what I mean? You've got to be definitely passionate about some of these. Like when it comes to stuff like Jeeps, right? You see people that are throwing V8s in these things. Now he put a V8 in his and he just towed it down here. He put it in his JK, put a V8 in. Now he did do an LS. Okay. So there is that, right? It's not like, but anyway, I just find it crazy that people do that, man. The vehicles aren't generally really ready for that kind of stuff. It's pretty rough on your drivetrain. You know what I mean? Here, a lot of people just have tons of problems, overheating problems and all sorts of stuff, right? Unless you have like somebody that really has dialed it in. I mean, AEV did a pretty good job dialing it in. I'm sure the 392s are going to be amazing, right? Because you're getting them from the factory. But to me, it's just crazy people doing V8 swaps. I think it's a nutty thing. But they do it in these Jeeps, and they're adding $20,000 to the price tag automatically. You know what I mean? They're like, yeah, I did a V8 swap, and it's got all this stuff. And I don't know that that's actually happening, that they're actually selling it and making that money. But I know in certain circumstances, depending on who it is, they're probably getting that money. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure. I mean, with the Jeep following through the shop, these guys are getting their full return out of these builds.
Are they really?
Oh, for sure. But in the Nissan market, you're not going to see that.
Yeah,
Nothing
yeah.
close.
In Nissan, it's just like,
You're just doing it just to do it. But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, don't expect any kind of return. So.
that's one of those things. It's like, that's what I mean is like, there's got to be a different level of passion that comes with certain people. Nissan people definitely, because there just isn't the same kind of following. But there is that niche, right? Like I'm sure there's a national crew that just must be all about them, is the truth of it. The thing is though, is the people that I know that have them, like her dad has one, right? And he loves it.
One of our employees
He-
drives one.
Yeah. Like he was, and like her dad was a Jeep guy. When I say a Jeep guy, this guy owned Cherokees from
First-
like 1984 all
First
the way to,
Cherokee off the lot. Like, I grew up in the back of a Cherokee. I
Yeah.
always say that.
yeah, forever.
I feel like
So
I did.
he was a Cherokee guy, and I don't know. I think he probably had something in between there. Did they have something in between? He had a Ford truck. Can't think of anything else. Did he for a little bit?
I feel like we've always owned a Cherokee.
They had. Well, he had that.
Always.
That last
Yeah.
one he had was that Cherokee Classic, that blue one, which was
Mhm.
like a 99 or something,
Mm-hmm.
and just pretty crazy. He must have really liked Cherokees.
Yeah, he did.
Which that's another one
Big
I
crap
don't
out of
quite
them.
get. I mean, they're nice, dude, but like I think about it on the off-road side of it, since they're unibody frame and all that stuff, and I mean, but it's interesting. You have a whole crew of those guys that are just super passionate
Mhm.
about
Yeah.
XJs. You know what I mean? But Yeah, you get that with. It's interesting that he moved to that Xterra though, and he's a huge fan of it. So
Yeah, he does.
that's what he's still rolling with. So
So I get the question on occasion about rear bumpers for Xterras. So
you
should
put me on the spot. Is
I'm
that what's
putting
going
you
on
on
here?
the spot. Because I know, if people listen to the podcast, I'm gonna get more questions. So let's just get it out there.
Okay.
Let's talk about it.
Well, I think what a lot of people have been asking about is a dual swing away.
Yeah.
So that's going to be, yeah.
So
answer.
my only hesitation is, here's your thing, is you look at our dual swings and they're like, I mean, and it's not like I'm just trying to rake in the money here, that they're around $2,500 base, and I just sit there and I'm like, okay, well, Nissan,
A lot of parts that go into them.
there's a lot of
time
parts and they're
intensive,
time
lots of
intensive,
parts.
and so they're kind of expensive. You know what I mean? They're not going to be a cheap bumper, and they'd be up to $3,000. And so I'm kind of like, will the Nissan Xterra crew type of people, will they really go for that? Which is just hard to say. I was a little skeptical that I was going to sell that we were going to sell that many of the front bumper,
Yeah.
and then pleasantly
Lo and
surprised.
behold.
But
Yeah.
What if you did some kind of, what is that platform where you just, if you can pre-sell 20 or 30, then you decide, with deposits, you do something
Yeah.
to start it. That might be a consideration.
so yeah, we could do something like that.
We do group buy kind of stuff.
We could do a group
Yeah.
buy where we just say, okay, if we get this many people, we'll put it in development.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure you could
Yeah.
find us a Nissan we could borrow, probably, right?
Well, for
So
sure.
we could do that.
Yeah.
I'm open for that idea.
I know I'm gonna get questions, so I'm just
There you
just
go.
trying
There
to
it
beat
is.
Okay.
it
Yeah.
right now.
Well,
So contact us if you want to be on a potential group buy list.
yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
let's
if you
go
hit
for
it.
it.
You hit it and you build it. If you don't hit it, then just water under the bridge.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, thanks for that.
Yeah.
That was fun. Just threw
got
that out.
One more thing
Threw
on
that
your
one
list.
at me. That's fine.
One more thing on your list for you there.
Well, let's talk real quick about the future, which we did talk about the Frontier and everything, but the future I'm talking about is this other future that is not Nissan, that you and I are both going to be involved with.
Yeah.
And it's being brought to you by Ford. So you have a Bronco on order currently, as do I, as I know a lot of people do. Now, you got to ride in one, is that correct?
Yep. Went down to the Moab one for the Ford Bronco experience. That was quite the experience. It was fun. Like we had professional ball haul racers. They were the drivers for them. So you got to sit in it, go run behind the rocks on the backside of it, go through the dunes and kind of experience the suspension travel, the features. Impressive. They basically took best of everything and compiled it in the Broncos, it seems like.
So so you called me, or did you call me, or did you text me? I can't remember.
We were doing both. So
I talked to you like right after, and you were like, yeah, I'm sold on this thing.
Yeah.
So we got to crawl around one a couple weeks ago. Didn't get to drive it anywhere or anything like that, but we got to crawl around it, and the seats were comfy. It was nice. It just felt like a different Jeep. You know what I mean? It was Jeep with a different body style. Few things that caught my eye was when I was crawling underneath it, and I noticed the rear, particularly the rear coils, because they were like basically coilovers, is what it looked like to me. I'm not sure if they were or not, but they looked to me like just similar to like the front coilovers, and they were at this very interesting angle facing forward. I don't know if you looked at that stuff at all.
So they had, I can't remember on the rear, but they had a whole just a frame with the suspension and the engine mounted there. I have pictures of it. I'll have to look it up later and let you know on it. But the ride quality, as fast as these guys were going on the ruts, it was pretty insane. Like they were racing them like they were running Baja.
Really?
So it was just, and the suspension was sound. It made noises. Of course, on a rutted road, but it handled it. My back could take a pounding on it. It was easy. It was fine.
Now I've heard they've got like an interesting like a turn, like a pivot type turn.
Okay, so yeah, you could do a 360 turn right on the spot. So it just because he took us out to sand dunes and he was jumping it and doing all this crazy 360s and whatnot. So basically he stops, and then when you do the 360, the one tire stays solid, and the rest of them just drives it around. So you can
Now, is that just because of the turning radius, or is it like is the tire braking, or do you know how it works?
I don't know how that works, but I really want to know what it is because it was
It
impressive.
just like turned on a dime,
On a
like
dime.
literally on a dime.
Yep. And another question is what is it a certain package too, right? What package?
Yeah.
Or is it all of them?
What did you guys ride in?
It was a not the Wild Tracks. I think the one you're buying.
Okay, it was a Badlands.
Badlands, yep, that's
Yeah.
it.
Okay. So the Badlands, the Wild Track's basically just a different suspension. Basically, just more like a Baja style of suspension.
Yeah.
I knew I'd be replacing it anyway, so I'm like, I'll just get the Badlands, right? What I really wanted was the whatever the
First edition.
first edition.
Yeah, missed out on
But
that too.
like that was gone in like 2 seconds. Like I was right there for that whole thing, and I was trying to go through it, and it just kept kicking me off. And so eventually I was able to get the Badlands, which I was fine with. But a friend of mine got a 2-door. Paul got a 2-door, which I almost want to trade him. I got a 4-door Badlands. He got a 2-door. I like the look of the 2-door. I got the 4-door because it's just more practical. But I think in the long run, if I was going to get one and keep one and hold on to it for a long time, it'd be a 2-door.
Okay, so we're in the same boat. So
Really?
Mine's a 4-door Wild Tracks. You know, we went with white to be safe.
Mm-hmm.
But when we were down at the Moab experience, they had a 2-door blue one. And it was beautiful.
Like the
Badlands.
Yeah, but what color blue was
Badlands.
it? That kind of like metallic blue, that bright metallic blue
So
kind
they
of
had,
thing. Or?
I think 2 or 3, because they had like a bunch of gas cans painted with all the
Right.
colors.
Yeah.
The lighter one,
Oh, okay.
lighter blue with the metallic in it. And
Yeah. Okay. I know what you're talking about.
And this one had a soft top on it, and it was beautiful.
Yeah. So the only person that I know that has a delivery date, they have the smaller engine. It's basically just a base model, smaller engine, soft top, 2-door, and that's the only person that I know that's been given a build date.
Wow.
So
You can look up the Facebook pages on the Bronco following. You can start following those guys that have theirs on order, and there's quite a few orders being filled. So
That's good.
but unfortunately we haven't gotten ours, so we're just
yeah.
chomping at the bit. So
Yeah.
So why Bronco out of all things? Just out of curiosity. I mean, Nissan and now Bronco. I mean, you've been driving Jeeps and crap all. Your business partner has like 15 of them.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's like you drove here in a Jeep. It's right out front. But I
Yeah.
mean, you don't own any is the
No.
thing, right?
Nope.
So what's the thing with that? It's just not you're not a
the
Jeep
comfort
guy?
creature, it's the being in the vehicle, just the Jeep never stuck with me. You know, I think I'd probably do a Toyota over if I were to, you know, just venture outside my, you know, creature comforts or whatever you call it. But the Bronco, I was still on the fence too. The ride is what that experience ride in Moab. That's what
That's
pushed me
sold
over
you.
the top. But prior to that, the Bronco was just gonna be for my wife.
Right.
So now I'm gonna take that one, and she's gonna order a 2-door Badlands.
Really?
Nice.
So
That is how sold you are.
Yeah.
That's pretty crazy. Well, that's
good to
cool.
know.
All right.
Yeah.
We won't hold it against you.
Okay.
We didn't mean to out you
Oh.
and everything like that. It's probably not a big deal. Like 10 people listen to this anyway. So, yeah. So, well, sweet, man. Anything else you want to talk about? Anything you
know,
want to
I
plug?
forgot, I have a 03 Frontier also that's right now that's being built.
You
Oh,
do?
nice.
Yeah, I do. It's been a year project right now. I have a couple of friends building them, but it's gonna have It's gonna be built by Robert Cutright and Fred
Oh.
Westra.
Oh, okay.
The suspension is gonna be exactly like Wilma, right?
Oh,
So-
really?
So
Oh,
he's
so
gonna-
this thing's going to be a
oh,
crawler.
for sure, yeah.
Oh, okay.
So the bed's coming off. It'll be 42-inch tires. You know, the works, full hydro.
Wow. When do we get to see that?
LS, whenever they get it done. So putting them on the spot.
Yeah. All right.
Hopefully a couple months.
See, perfect. You saved it for last.
Yeah.
It's total redemption. So no Nissan people decide to crucify you or burn a cross on your front lawn or anything weird like that. So that was a joke. You can all laugh. Only minor racial overtones. Okay. Well, Justin, thanks for coming on. Thanks for talking Nissan. I look forward to seeing more from you on the trails, right? Anything you want to plug? Anything you want to tell me about other than that? Are we good?
No, I think we're good.
We're good?
Thanks for inviting me down. This was a awesome experience coming down and doing your podcast with you guys.
Cool.
Thank
Yeah.
you.
Well, thanks for
Thanks for
talking
joining
Nissan. Look for Nissan products coming out. If you're interested in the Xterra, an Xterra dual swing or something like that, and you're listening to this podcast for some reason, you're like, oh yeah, I want to get on that. Give us a call. Let us know, right? Email us, maybe we can make something like that happen. So anyway, Justin, again, thanks for coming on, man. It's been fun. We should have you on again. We'll talk off-roading again. Talk a little bit more, maybe a little more trail activity or something like that. Talk about Moab, since you go there way more.
Yeah.
And
we can definitely do that.
yeah, that'd be cool. Okay. Thanks for watching, everyone, and we'll see you next time.